The red lights flashed on the bridge of the HMS Defiant. Captain Do-hyun stood tall, his eyes fixed on the main screen. The ship floated silently in the darkness of space, hidden among large rocks in an asteroid field. "Captain, enemy ships detected," said Officer Jinwoo, his voice shaking slightly. "Many ships, more than we can count." Do-hyun nodded slowly. He had expected this. For 3 years, the Krell Empire had hunted humans across the galaxy. Earth was gone now, destroyed by the Krell's powerful weapons. The Defiant was the last human warship, carrying the final 500 survivors of humanity. "Show me," Do-hyun ordered. The screen changed, revealing hundreds of silver ships moving toward them. The Krell fleet looked like a swarm of metal insects against the blackness of space. Their ships were perfect triangles with smooth surfaces that reflected the distant starlight. Officer Yuna, the weapons specialist, spoke up. "Sir, we should run. We cannot fight so many." Do-hyun turned to look at his crew. Their faces showed fear, but also determination. They had been running for too long. "No," he said firmly. "No more running." The bridge fell silent. Engineer Tae-ho looked up from his station, surprise clear on his face. "Sir?" Tae-ho asked. "There are at least 300 ships out there. Our weapons can maybe destroy 5 or 6 before they kill us." Do-hyun walked to the center of the bridge. "The Krell think they know everything about human technology. They're wrong." He pressed a button on the main console, bringing up a 3D image of the Defiant. The ship looked ordinary from the outside, a simple cylinder with engine pods and weapon mounts. But inside was something the Krell had never seen. "For 2 years I've kept our greatest weapon secret," Do-hyun explained, "even from most of you." He zoomed in on the ship's core, revealing a strange blue sphere surrounded by spinning rings. "This is Project Firefly," he continued. "Dr. Mi-sun designed it before Earth fell. It can absorb energy from enemy weapons and send it back 10 times stronger." Yuna frowned. "But sir, that's impossible. The energy would tear our ship apart." "That's what the Krell would think," Do-hyun smiled. "And that's why it will work. They'll fire everything at us, expecting us to die. Instead, we'll take their power and use it against them." The ship's computer beeped loudly. Jinwoo checked the readings and looked up with wide eyes. "Captain, they've spotted us. 20 ships are moving into attack position." Do-hyun returned to his chair. "Perfect. Let them come." The crew prepared for battle, each person moving with practiced skill despite their fear. Medical Officer Seo checked emergency supplies. Engineer Tae-ho powered up systems that had remained dormant for months. "All stations report," Do-hyun commanded. "Weapons." "Ready," said Yuna. "Engines at full power," reported Tae-ho. "Medical bay prepared for casualties," added Seo. Jinwoo looked up from his screen. "Sir, we're receiving a message from the Krell fleet." "On screen," ordered Do-hyun. The face of a Krell commander appeared. The alien had blue skin with ridges along its head, and 6 yellow eyes that blinked in different patterns. "Human vessel," the Krell said in a deep voice. "Your species is finished. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick." Do-hyun stood up straight. "This is Captain Do-hyun of the HMS Defiant. We are the last of humanity, and we do not surrender." The Krell commander made a sound like rocks grinding together, their version of laughter. "One small ship against the might of the Krell Empire? Your human pride blinds you to reality." "No," Do-hyun replied calmly. "Your arrogance blinds you. Today you learn why you should have feared us more." He cut the transmission. The bridge was quiet as everyone waited for his next order. "Move us out of the asteroid field," Do-hyun said. "Full power to Project Firefly. Let's show them what humans can do." The Defiant slowly emerged from hiding. Immediately, 20 Krell. Ships fired bright green energy beams at the human vessel. "Shields failing," shouted Jinwoo, as the ship shook violently. "Hold steady," Do-hyun ordered. "Route all enemy fire to the core." Engineer Tae-ho worked quickly at his station. "Project Firefly is absorbing the energy, but it's rising to dangerous levels." The ship groaned and creaked as more Krell vessels joined the attack. The Defiant was now surrounded by enemy fire from all directions. "So we can't take much more," warned Yuna. Do-hyun watched the energy levels climb higher on his screen. "Just a little more. Now," he shouted. "Release the energy. Target there. Command ship." Tae-ho pressed a series of controls. The Defiant suddenly glowed bright blue, and then a massive beam of pure energy shot out from the human ship. It cut through space like a knife, striking the largest Krell vessel directly in its center. The enemy ship exploded in a ball of fire and light that temporarily blinded the sensors. When the view cleared, the Krell command ship was gone. 19. Other enemy vessels were damaged or destroyed, and this was just the beginning. 3 days before the battle, Do-hyun had gathered his senior officers in the Defiant's small conference room. The ship was hiding in a dense nebula, temporarily safe from Krell sensors. "I'm going to tell you why we can win," Do-hyun said, looking at each officer in turn, "and why the Krell aren't as strong as they want us to believe." Officer Minna, the ship's science specialist, activated a hologram showing a Krell battleship. "The Krell have ruled space for 500 years, she explained. "They think they've seen everything, but they've never faced humans before." Engineer Tae-ho nodded. "That's why Project Firefly works. The Krell energy weapons follow patterns their computers think are perfect. But the patterns have small flaws our system can exploit." Do-hyun touched the hologram, zooming in on a Krell ship's command center. "The biggest advantage we have is here," he said. "The Krell don't have captains like we do. They use artificial intelligence to control their fleets. The AI makes every decision based on millions of past battles." Weapons Officer Yuna frowned. "But that should make them better, not worse. Their computers can think faster than we can." "True," Do-hyun agreed. "But they can only think in ways they've been programmed to think. They cannot imagine. They cannot create new ideas. They cannot be human." He pulled up another image showing the path of a small scout ship through an asteroid field. The path was full of strange turns and apparently random movements. "Last month, I took our shuttle through the Karos asteroid belt," Do-hyun continued. "A Krell patrol ship chased me. Their AI tried to predict where I would go next, but I didn't follow any pattern. I did what felt right in the moment. The Krell ship crashed trying to follow me." Medical Officer Seo leaned forward. "So our advantage is unpredictability." "Exactly," Do-hyun said with a smile. "The Krell expect us to either run away or fight according to standard military tactics. They never expect us to do something completely unexpected." Now, as the Defiant faced the remaining Krell ships, Do-hyun remembered that meeting. His crew knew what to do. "Sir, the Krell are regrouping," reported Jinwoo. "They're forming a circle around us, 50 ships at least." Do-hyun nodded. "They'll try to trap us with crossfire. Their AI always does this when surprised." He turned to Tae-ho. "How long until Project Firefly can absorb more energy?" 10 minutes at least, Captain," the engineer replied. "The system is cooling down." "Don't have 10 minutes, Yuna said, checking her screen. "The Krell are charging weapons." Do-hyun smiled. "Then we'll have to be unpredictable again." He pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands prepare for gravity reversal maneuver." The crew quickly secured loose objects and activated magnetic boots. This was a dangerous move they had practiced but never used in real combat. "Reverse artificial gravity in 3, 2, 1. "Now," ordered Do-hyun. Inside the Defiant, everything that wasn't secured floated upward. At the same time, Tae-ho activated the external gravity projectors at maximum power. The effect on the Krell ships was immediate. Their perfect circle formation collapsed as the unexpected gravity pull dragged them toward the Defiant. Ships crashed into each other, their AI systems confused by the impossible readings. "Now, Yuna," shouted Do-hyun. "Conventional weapons only." Yuna fired the ship's regular missiles, targeting the damaged Krell vessels. Even without Project Firefly's power, the missiles found their marks among the disorganized enemy fleet. 5 more ships destroyed, Jinwoo reported. "The others are trying to retreat." Minna looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting a large energy surge from the edge of the system. More Krell ships are coming." Do-hyun nodded. "How many?" "At least 100, Minna replied, "including 3 dreadnoughts." The bridge fell silent. Dreadnoughts were the largest Krell warships, each carrying enough firepower to destroy a small moon. "Sir," Seo said quietly, "maybe now we should retreat. We've shown we can hurt them. We could hide, rebuild." Do-hyun shook his head. "No. If we run now, they'll never stop hunting us. And they'll learn from this battle. Their AI will adapt. He walked to the front of the bridge and looked out at the stars. In the distance, the new Krell fleet approached, their ships gleaming like silver knives. Project Firefly will be ready in 3 minutes, Taeho reported. Good, said Do-hyun. Because I have an idea that the Krell would never consider. Something so foolish that it might just work. Yuna looked concerned. What are you planning, Captain? Do-hyun turned to face his crew. His eyes were bright with determination and something else. Hope. We're going to fly straight at them, he said. Directly into their strongest weapons. The 3 Krell dreadnoughts moved forward, their massive hulls blocking out the stars behind them. Each ship was 20 times larger than the Defiant, shaped like arrowheads with smooth metal surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect. They're forming an attack triangle, Jinwoo reported from his station. Standard Krell formation for dealing with smaller ships. Do-hyun watched the enemy vessels on the main screen. The smaller Krell ships had pulled back, allowing the dreadnoughts to take the lead. This was exactly what he had expected. All power to forward shields, he ordered, and keep Project Firefly ready. Yuna looked worried. Sir, even with Project Firefly, we can't absorb the combined firepower of 3 dreadnoughts. Our ship will break apart. We don't need to absorb all of it, Do-hyun explained. Just enough. The Defiant accelerated, moving directly toward the high center dreadnought. On the Krell ships, advanced computers calculated the human vessel's path and prepared their weapons. Officer Minar monitored the Krell communications. They're confused, Captain. Their battle computers are trying to understand our strategy. Good, said Do-hyun. Confusion leads to mistakes. The space between the ships lit up as the Krell opened fire. Massive green beams struck the Defiants, shields making the entire ship shake. Shields at 60%, shouted Jinwoo. 50%. Engineer Taeho worked frantically at his station. Project Firefly is absorbing energy but not fast enough. Turn the ship 45 degrees, Do-hyun commanded. Present our starboard side to their weapons. The helmsman obeyed, rotating the Defiant even as energy beams continued to strike the shields. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as systems overloaded. Shields at 30%. Jinwoo's voice was tight with tension. Medical Officer Seo was already treating crew members injured by the ship's violent movements. Whatever you're planning, Captain, do it quickly. Do-hyun watched the energy readings on his personal screen. Project Firefly had absorbed enormous power, but it wasn't enough yet. They needed a few more seconds. Prepare for emergency jump, he ordered. Random coordinates, distance 1 kilometer. This was another human trick the Krell didn't understand. The Defiant's jump drive could move the ship small distances almost instantly. Most ships only used jump drives for long-distance travel between star systems, not for tiny movements in battle. Ready, sir, the helmsman confirmed. Jump now. The Defiant vanished just as the shields failed completely. It reappeared directly, above the center dreadnought, so close that the crew could see individual panels on the enemy ship's hull. The Krell weapons continued firing at the place where the Defiant had been, hitting nothing but empty space. Their computers needed several seconds to recalculate. Now Taeho, Do-hyun shouted. Engineer Taeho activated Project Firefly's discharge sequence. All the absorbed energy shot downward in a focused beam that cut into the dreadnought's upper hull. On the screen, the crew watched as their energy beam penetrated deep into the enemy vessel. Explosions rippled across the dreadnought's surface as internal systems failed. Direct hit to their main power core, Minna reported excitedly. The dreadnought's lights flickered and died. Without power, its weapons fell silent and its engines stopped. The massive ship began to drift sideways, slowly rotating in space. 1 down, Do-hyun said quietly. 2 to go. The other dreadnoughts had already adjusted their positions, turning to face the Defiant's new location. Their weapons charged again, glowing with deadly green energy. Captain, Project Firefly needs time to reset, warned Taeho. At least 5 minutes. We don't have 5 minutes, Jinwoo said. They're firing again. Do-hyun made a quick decision. Release the drones. Pattern 7. Yuna pressed a series of controls, launching 20 small unmanned ships from the Defiant's cargo bay. The drones were simple devices, little more than engines with basic shields, but they moved incredibly fast. The drones flew in random patterns around the Defiant, creating multiple targets for the Krell weapons. The dreadnoughts fired at the drones, destroying several immediately but missing many others. The drones are confusing their targeting systems, Minna observed. Their AI can't decide which targets are most important. While the Krell ships were distracted, Do-hyun ordered another short jump. The Defiant disappeared again and reappeared between the two remaining dreadnoughts. "Fire conventional missiles," he commanded. "Target their sensor arrays." Yuna launched a full spread of missiles. Without Project Firefly's power, the missiles couldn't seriously damage the dreadnoughts, but they didn't need to. They just needed to blind them. The missiles struck the sensor arrays on both ships, destroying the delicate equipment. Now the dreadnoughts could only detect large objects, not the small, fast-moving Defiant. "Move us behind the disabled dreadnought," ordered Do-hyun. "Use it as a shield while Project Firefly recharges." As the Defiant took shelter behind the powerless enemy ship, the crew finally had a moment to breathe. They had survived the first round against the most powerful ships in the Krell fleet, but this was just the beginning of the real battle. Hidden behind the disabled dreadnought, the crew of the Defiant worked quickly to repair what they could. The ship had taken heavy damage. Parts of the hull were blackened from energy weapons, and several systems were offline. Engineer Taeho moved between control panels, his hands flying over the displays. "Project Firefly is at 60% capacity. Captain, 3 more minutes until full power." Do-hyun nodded. "Good work. What about the shields?" "Barely functioning," Taeho replied. "Maybe 30% protection at best." Medical Officer Seo approached the captain. Her uniform was stained with blood from treating the wounded. 17 crew members injured, sir. 3 critically. We're running low on medical supplies." Do-hyun's face remained calm, but his eyes showed concern. "Do what you can, Seo. This will be over soon, one way or another." On the main screen, they could see the 2 remaining dreadnoughts searching for them. Without their sensor arrays, the massive ships were firing randomly into space, hoping to hit the human vessel by luck. "Captain," called Min-ah from her station, "I'm detecting a new signal. Something big is coming." The crew fell silent as a massive object appeared at the edge of the system. It was a Krell ship, but unlike any they had seen before. While the dreadnoughts were large, this new vessel was enormous, easily 10 times their size. Its hull was black instead of silver, and it moved with surprising speed for its size. "What is that?" whispered Jinwoo. Minna checked her readings. "Based on Krell transmissions, I think it's their Emperor's personal warship." Do-hyun stared at the screen. "The Krell Emperor is here personally?" "Yes, sir," confirmed Minna. "They're calling it the Dominator. It carries a weapon called the Star Killer." As if to demonstrate, the Dominator fired a bright purple beam at a small moon orbiting a nearby gas giant. The beam struck the moon, and for a moment nothing happened. Then cracks appeared across the moon's surface, spreading rapidly. Seconds later, the entire moon exploded into millions of pieces. The bridge crew watched in shocked silence. "How can we fight that?" asked Yuna, her voice barely audible. Do-hyun turned to face his officers. "We fight it the same way we've fought everything else, with courage and cleverness." He pointed to a spot on the tactical display. "The system's—" "Son, how far are we from it?" Jinwoo checked the navigation data. "About 3 million kilometers, sir." "And how close can the Defiant safely approach the sun's corona?" Taeho looked surprised. "With our shields in this condition, maybe 800,000 kilometers, but the heat would still damage our systems." Do-hyun nodded. "Plot a course. For the sun, 900,000 kilometers distance." The crew exchanged worried glances, but no one questioned the order. The helmsman entered the new course, and the Defiant slipped away from its hiding place, moving toward the system's bright yellow star. Almost immediately, the Krell ships detected the movement. The 2 damaged dreadnoughts turned to follow, but the Dominator moved faster, cutting off the Defiant's path. "They're charging the Starkiller weapon," reported Minna. "Full speed toward the sun," ordered Do-hyun. "Prepare for high temperature conditions." As the Defiant raced toward the star, the heat inside the ship began to rise. Warning systems beeped as external temperatures climbed to dangerous levels. "Hull temperature reaching critical limits," warned Taeho. The Dominator fired. Its weapon. The purple beam narrowly missed the Defiant, continuing past to strike the sun's surface. A massive solar flare erupted from the impact point, reaching thousands of kilometers into space. Do-hyun smiled. "That's exactly what I wanted. Tae-ho, is Project Firefly ready?" "Yes, Captain. Full power available." "Good. Turn the ship around. Face the Dominator directly." The helmsman obeyed, spinning the Defiant to face the enormous enemy vessel. Behind them, the solar flare continued to grow, now reaching toward both ships. "Project Firefly to maximum absorption," Do-hyun commanded. "Prepare to capture the solar flare energy." The crew looked at him in amazement as they realized his plan. The Krell had unknowingly created the perfect weapon for the humans to use. As the solar flare washed over the Defiant, Project Firefly's systems glowed bright blue. The ship shuddered as it absorbed more energy than it was designed to handle. "Energy levels exceeding safety limits," shouted Tae-ho. "The system can't take much more." "Just a few more seconds," Do-hyun urged. "We need everything we can get." When the energy levels reached critical peak, Do-hyun gave the order, "Release all power. Target the Dominator's main bridge." A blinding beam of concentrated solar energy shot from the Defiant, striking the Emperor's ship precisely at its command center. The black hull, designed to withstand conventional weapons, offered no protection against the focused power of a star. The Dominator's bridge section exploded in a brilliant flash. Secondary explosions cascaded along its length as power systems overloaded. The massive ship began to drift, its engines dead. For the first time since the battle began, cheers erupted on the Defiant's bridge. They had done the impossible, crippled the flagship of the Krell Empire, but their celebration was short-lived. Even as the Dominator drifted powerless in space, hundreds more Krell ships appeared on the long-range sensors. The real battle was just beginning. The Defiant floated in space, systems barely functioning after the massive energy discharge. Warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. The temperature inside the ship had risen to uncomfortable levels, making breathing difficult. "Damage report," Do-hyun ordered, wiping sweat from his forehead. Tae-ho checked his screens. "Project Firefly is completely drained, Captain. The system needs major repairs before we can use it again. Engines at 30%, weapons at 45%. Life support stable but struggling." Jinwoo looked up from his station. "Sir, we have hundreds of Krell ships approaching. Time to arrival, 7 minutes." Do-hyun nodded slowly. They had achieved more than anyone thought possible, destroying several dreadnoughts and disabling the Emperor's flagship. But now they faced an entire fleet with a damaged ship and no secret weapon. "Options?" he asked his officers. Silence filled the bridge. No one wanted to say what they were all thinking, that perhaps this was the end. Finally, Minna spoke up. "Captain, I've been studying the Krell communications since we disabled the Dominator. Their command structure is in chaos. The Emperor was on that ship." Do-hyun's eyes widened. "The Emperor is dead?" "No," Minna clarified, "but the communications suggest he's injured. More importantly, the Krell fleet's main control system was on the Dominator. Their ships now have to operate independently without the central AI." Yuna frowned. "That's interesting, but we still can't fight hundreds of ships." "Maybe we don't have to fight them all," Do-hyun said thoughtfully. He turned to Jinwoo. "Can we get close to the Dominator without being detected?" Jinwoo studied his screens. "The disabled dreadnoughts are creating a sensor shadow. If we move carefully through it, we might reach the Dominator before the other ships arrive." "Do it," ordered Do-hyun. "Tae-ho, how many people can our largest shuttle carry?" 20, sir. 25 if they stand." Do-hyun nodded. "Prepare the shuttle for launch. Yuna, select our 10 best fighters. SEO, bring medical supplies. We're boarding the Dominator." The officers stared at him in shock. "Board an enemy flagship?" SEO asked. "Sir, that's crazy?" Do-hyun smiled. "Yes, that's why the Krell won't expect it." 5 minutes later, the shuttle detached from the Defiant and moved silently toward the massive black ship. The Krell vessels in the distance continued their approach, unaware of the small human craft. "The Dominator has a breach in its hull near the bridge section," Jinwoo reported from the shuttle's controls. "We can enter there." The shuttle slipped through the hole created by their earlier attack. Inside was darkness and chaos. Emergency lights provided dim illumination, showing destroyed corridors and dead Krell soldiers floating in zero gravity. "Their artificial gravity is offline," observed Taeho as the boarding party activated magnetic boots to walk on the metal. Flores Do-hyun led the way, pistol ready. "Minna, which way to their control center?" Minna consulted her portable scanner. "2 levels down, Captain. I'm detecting life signs there." The human team moved quickly through the massive ship. Occasionally they encountered surviving Krell, but the aliens were disorganized without their AI to guide them. The humans easily defeated them. After 10 minutes of careful movement, they reached a large door marked with Krell symbols. "This is it," Minna whispered. "The secondary control room. The main one was destroyed in our attack." Do-hyun nodded to Yuna, who placed small explosives around the door's edges. The team took cover, and seconds later, the door blew inward. The humans rushed in, weapons ready. Inside were 20 Krell officers and a larger figure seated on an elevated platform. The Emperor. Unlike the blue-skinned soldiers, the Emperor had golden skin and wore ornate armor. The Krell reached for weapons, but froze when Do-hyun aimed directly at their leader's head. "Tell them to stand down," Do-hyun said to the Emperor, "or you die first." The Emperor made a series of clicking sounds, and the other Krell lowered their weapons. "You speak our language?" the Emperor asked in heavily accented human words. "We've learned many things while you hunted us," Do-hyun replied, "including how your fleet works." Minna moved to a control panel and began working quickly. "I can access their communication system, Captain. We can send commands to the entire fleet." The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound like stones grinding together. "It won't matter. My ships will destroy your vessel, then find and kill every last human in the galaxy." Do-hyun stepped closer to the alien ruler. "Why? Why destroy us? We never threatened you." "Because you are dangerous," the Emperor said. "Not now, but what you would become. Humans adapt, humans imagine. No species should have both qualities." "Sir," called Minna excitedly, "I found something. There are prison levels on this ship, thousands of aliens from different worlds. All species the Krell have tried to exterminate." Do-hyun looked at the Emperor with new understanding. "We're not the first, are we? You've been doing this for centuries, finding and destroying any species that might one day challenge you." Before the Emperor could respond, Minna sent a signal throughout the ship, unlocking all cells. At the same time, she broadcast a message to the approaching Krell fleet. "The Emperor has fallen. The Dominator is under human control. All ships stand down." On the screens around them, they watched as confusion spread through the Krell fleet. Some ships stopped moving. Others began firing on each other, different commanders giving conflicting orders. The tide had turned. The battle was over, and across the Dominator, thousands of imprisoned beings from dozens of worlds realized they were finally free.